久しぶりだな、麦わら。
What's up, guys? We are back today with some more Bonney gameplay. Today we are taking on Enel in the finals of our most recent locals. We actually lost the dice roll here, but Enel chose to go first, and on 1 dawn is choosing to play Flampe, taking the bottom life and drawing a card. And then on 2 dawn, we pass because we do not have a searcher, so 3 dawn. So in 3 dawn here, Enel is likely just going to swing 8, which you will see us most likely just take that instead of giving him 2 2Ks. So on our 4 dawn here, we really have 3 options. If we drew into the searcher, that's probably the most ideal play. The second option is to play one of the 2 Arouges in hand, but that would set it up to get popped by Gedatsu on curve, so we're going to take our last option here because we did draw into a searcher. We're just going to swing 8 of life, put him down to 2. He takes that. Now that we haven't really played into Gedatsu, they don't have much to do on 5 dawn here. It would either be a Rocket Luffy for tempo, or more likely playing the Onami for 2 and then swinging 8k banish, and we would take that. So he's paying 2, yeah, it's going to be the Onami and then the 8k banish. Similar to what I've been preaching on recent videos, don't give them 2 cards to save 1. Moving into 6 dawn, I think the most ideal play here would be able to play Hawkins, given that's going to be a sticky body, but it doesn't look like we have that in hand. So the next best option here is going to be to pay 5 for Cavendish, restanding 2. And we're debating here if we want to put him down to 1, which would open up Raigo, as well as his healing options, or if we want to just keep him at 2 life, but we go ahead and swing 7 here. He's going to take that most likely, as opposed to giving us 2 cards here. So we are punished with a Shirahoshi trigger, allowing him to filter his hand. We're seeing him discard another Shirahoshi and then one of the Shirahoshi 2-cost blockers. And then moving into Enel's 7 dawn turn, I think the most ideal play for him would be to just establish the 7 drop, because that's going to be equally as sticky as what our Hawkins would be. So us seeing him separate 2 dawn here makes us think that we're going to see a 7k swing and then a 5-cost body, most likely the Rocket Luffy, because the Thunderbolt Sabo doesn't really do much here. Well, that is, unless he wants to take his own last life for us and go down to 0. But we are seeing the 7k swing here. We're going to use the leader ability to tap the Nami, and we're going to take it, not give him 2 cards at this point. So we are seeing him tap 5 dawn here to play out the Rocket Luffy like we had expected. And now moving into our 8 dawn turn here, given that we have Cavendish set up, you may see us play out the 8-drop Kid along with a Rosie blocker or just another 3-cost blocker. This isn't because we would expect it to stick to the board, but more so because we would expect him to play the Katakuri to bottom life the Kid prior to swinging with any of his board, which would allow us to rest the Katakuri as well as his swingers, and then play the 10 drop the following turn to be able to freeze his board and establish a 10k body. We did play the Kid here and swing 6 at Onami with Cavendish to be able to restand 2 dawn, 1 for Kid and 1 for leader effect. We swung into Onami here rather than Enel, so as to not give him the free filter. We are playing the Rosie blocker off of the Kid. That way he has to choose whether he wants to play the Yamato and let the Kid stick, or more likely play the Katakuri to bottom life the Kid. For that matter, he could just trash the Rocket Luffy to get rid of the Rosinante to draw a card as well. So it doesn't really pigeonhole him into playing the Yamato or Katakuri, I think, but like we said, we would more likely expect the Katakuri here to bottom life the Kid. And we can see the Katakuri at the front of his hand here. I'm not even sure we could see a Yamato in hand. I know we did see a couple rush aces there though. But yeah, assuming that we have the 10 drop in hand, these next 2 turns should be pretty quick. Yes, he is playing the 8 drop to bottom life, and now he's going to swing 6 into Cavendish. We're going to use leader ability to tap Rosie, to tap Katakuri rather, and block with Rosie. And then we're going to take another 6k swing, giving him a 1k counter. And the reason we blocked with Rosinante there was because we're just at a position where Yamato pops the Rosinante, so it's not worth giving a card as opposed to just giving up the blocker. We're going to play the 10 drop to freeze the Katakuri, Rocket Luffy, and leader. And then we're going to swing 6 at Rocket Luffy, just because we're not going to give him the free filter, and we're going to be able to restand 2 Don, and then we're going to give another 6 at the Rocket Luffy, hoping to get another card, but he may just give us the Luffy at this point, seeing that we're not playing into the 4-cost reduction, or the 4-cost pop rather. So yeah, he does let the Luffy go, because he knows that we're ultimately just going to be able to swing into it next turn as well, given that it's not going to restand. Now that we're at 10 Don here and he's at 1 life, I would expect a Rush Ace, because we didn't see the Yamato like we spoke about last turn. So he does play the Rush Ace here and is likely going to be able to clear the Cavendish. I don't think that there's really any way that we're going to give him 3 cards, only being at 7 cards in hand here. And yeah, we just let it go. And now he passes turn back to us, and I'm not sure if you caught a glimpse of our hand, but it looks like it's mostly just 2K counters at this point, and it looks like we did draw a Bonney for turn. You may see us here just swing really big into the ace, just to be able to clear it or eat up his hand size, and then play down the Bonney Searcher and leaving 1 up for leader ability. So that would give us a total of 7 Don that we could attach here to clear the ace. But it looks like we're swinging 14, or rather, it looks like we thought better of it and are now swinging 16 into the ace, demanding 4 cards. So he's just going to let that go. And then we're going to use 2 for Bonney here, fully expecting that to get cleared either by the Flampe or the leader next turn. More likely the Flampe, because he's going to swing with Katakuri and we will rest leader. So we did pick up the more pizza off of the first Bonney search and then tapped 1 for the more pizza, still leaving 1 up for leader ability here. Looking at our options from the search, I think that the Hawkins is probably our best choice. So we are going to grab that and then pass turn. And so looking at his hand last turn, we did see that he had multiple Rush Aces, so he may play another one this turn just to heal up to 3 life, even if he doesn't get the Rush. So we're going to see what he does here. Okay, so it looks like he's starting off with a 1K swing from Flampe into Bonney, and we're going to use the leader ability to rest Katakuri. I do think that this was a bit of a misplay on his part, where he should have swung with Katakuri into life first, but you live and you learn. So now we expect him to swing 5K into leader and then play the 10 cost Rush Ace at the front of his hand, and he's going to heal up to 3 but not gain Rush. I would imagine you're going to see us either, so looking at our hand, we may take this just to give us more plays, but we do know that we have the Basil for next turn. However, we're still at 3 life and we may not want to give him value, giving a 2K for a 5K swing. So yeah, we do take it and we trigger the more pizza here to be able to draw a card, and then we draw for turn. Now this turn I would expect to see the Hawkins come down, as well as us poking at life here. I think we would poke with leader, get him down to 2. I don't think we want to put him down to 1 again, giving Rush Ace value. So I think he'll probably take the swing from leader, wanting cards in hand, and then we'll likely just poke 10 at the Katakuri to get 2 cards out of hand. We do swing the 5 here. He does take it. We don't want to put him to 1 life, giving value to Raigo and Ace. So we're just going to swing the 10 cost into the Katakuri. He's going to want to defend it here, so he's likely going to give us 2 cards. He gives us 2 2Ks, which is telling. But then we do play the Hawkins and the Arouge, and then restand 1 for the Arouge effect. Now, we do play down the Arouge here, knowing that it could fully be popped by Yamato. However, playing down the Yamato would not give him the heal. And we do see, funny enough, that he did top deck the Yamato if he wants to play that here. We can also see he has another Rush Ace as well as a Katakuri. So he certainly isn't short of options on playing top end at this point. Him setting 2 aside here tells me that it's likely going to be the Katakuri into healing the Shirahoshi to life. But he may also play another Rush Ace just to establish a 10k body and heal up to 3 life as well. I don't think either option is necessarily bad. I think it may make more sense to save Katakuris for in case I play another 8-drop kid. So knowing we have leader effect active, he's not going to give us any information here. He's going to just swing a base 10k with Ace, and then we're going to rest the Katakuri. We may just end up taking this. You could see we were thinking of blocking with a Rouge, but we know that Also, taking the life takes away the Yamato being able to pop the Arouge here. We also know that if he wants to play their ace, he's not going to get another swing. So he's swinging 5k here with leader. We're just going to take the free block with Basil. So him swinging base here tells me that this is likely going to be the 10 cost ace that comes down, healing him up to 3 life, but he will not gain a swing. So he does tap 10 here to play the 10 cost ace, healing up to 3 life and passing it back to us. Now this would be a very good spot for another 10 drop if we were able to draw it for turn or get it off of the life last turn. We swing a base 5 here, not knowing what's in hand. Now one tell if we do have the 10 drop Dofi in hand would be us swinging with Hawkins here. However, I'm not sure if we want to put him down to 1 at this point to open up Raigo, but we may want to put him on having the heal. Us even debating about swinging with Hawkins here tells me that we do have the 10 drop, and yeah, you can see it looks like it was the life last turn, and we did draw a 2k for turn. So we're swinging 7 here with Hawkins, hoping honestly that he counters out of this, but he may take it to go down to 1, knowing that he's not really in threat of dying this turn. So he does that. And then I would imagine once again you're going to see us poke 10 at Katakuri to try and get 2 cards out of his hand. So he's going to give us the 0 cost event plus another Katakuri to save it, which we're happy about because now we get the full value out of the 10 drop, being able to rest the leader Katakuri and the 10 cost ace, as well as get the Arouge effect to keep the leader effect going. I would say now we're in a pretty good spot, him being at 1 life, us having 3 really good swingers on board with the Hawkins and the 2 10 drops. I don't expect him to be able to clear any of those this turn. That is with the exception of if he plays Raigo to get rid of one of the 10 drops and then swings into the other 10 drop or Hawkins with ace. That honestly may be his best turn and chance to clear 2 of the bodies, but we're going to see him only attaching 2 Don to ace, swinging into Hawkins. Knowing the number of 2Ks that we have in hand, it probably makes sense for us just to counter out of this and give him 3 2Ks, going up to 13. So that's what we do. We give him the Apu, maybe one of each of the Apus plus an Izo at this point. And now he has 8 down remaining, which means he's either going to Raigo, and I'm not sure what the remaining 2 Don would be for, or he's going to Katakuri and heal his Shirahoshi after playing Oper's Flampe. It actually looks like he may be debating those 2 options, with the Raigo and Katakuri being the front 2 cards in his hand. And now that he's brought the Katakuri to the front of his hand, I'm fully expecting that to be what he's playing this turn. So he does play over the Flampe to heal the Shirahoshi, and then he's going to just pass back to us. Honestly, and looking at his board at this point, as well as our life situation, we need to work on closing this game out sooner rather than later. But we also know that we do have 2 blockers as well as the leader ability, so we aren't necessarily worried about dying on the crackback, but we are going to start working on whittling his life down. So we're going to swing 10 here, knowing that he wants to take the Shirahoshi. So he does play the trigger off that. Looks like he draws into 4K counter and is probably going to discard, a Raigo, and then maybe any other non-counter or just a 1K that he has in hand. He does pitch the Yamato here, knowing that we have a bunch of swings available to us. We are most likely just going to follow up the Dofi swing with the second Dofi here, see if he takes the life and uses the leader ability. If he does use the leader ability here, rather than counter out, I think you may see us just put everything on leader, try and put him to 0, putting him on having a heal or trying to go for game. So we do see him taking this, going to use the leader ability, although we did see that he had plenty of 2Ks to be able to counter out of that, but that would put him on having very low counter in hand. So he gets the Parosparrow from life and then pitches the Katakuri for the leader effect. And now, like I had said, you're going to see us put basically everything on Bonney, going to swing 13K into face here, ask for all of the cards in his hand, or put him to 0. Having the Arouge on board, the only reason I can think that we swing 13 here as opposed to 15 and guarantee the life is if we want to play a 2-cost Rosinante blocker, knowing that we would still be able to use the leader ability. And then I think having 3 blockers available to us plus a life and the leader ability would make it to where we're fairly certainly not dying this turn, even if he did trigger a body there. So yeah, you do see us play the Rosinante there. So now we do have the 3 blockers, the 1 life, and the leader ability, plus a number of cards in hand. And if I do recall correctly, I think at this point you can see that we do have the 0 cost event plus a number of 2Ks. I think it's 4 2Ks, a 1K, and the 0 cost event. So that would give us 9K counter in hand, 12K if you want to include the 0 cost event with the kid in the last life. So like I said, we're certainly not scared of dying this turn, and we want to just put him to 0 so that we know that we're going to win on the crackback, because also having that much counter in hand, there's not really anything he can do to be able to clear our Dofis. So I do think we spend a bit of time here debating the lethal math and just talking through what the best swings are. So knowing that one of the 10 cost rush aces will be rested from our leader effect, you have the 16K from the 2 Katakuris, the 10K from the ace, and then the 5K from the leader. So that's a total of 31K in attacks plus your 10 Don. So you have 41K in attacks. If you were to split that all up, that's going to be 10K, 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 11K. However, unless he's able to remove one of the blockers, he needs to have 5 swings, because you have to do 3 through the blockers, 1 for life, and then 1 to actually hit for lethal damage. So there's no real lethal math in this scenario. His only hope is putting me on having not much counter in hand, and he's going to have to use the Rygo to get rid of the Arouge here. That still would mean that all 4 swings need to connect, because we have 2 blockers of life and then 1 for the lethal swing. So if we do the math with him using the Rygo here, that would be 6 Don, giving him 4 Don remaining. So he would still have the 31K in swings plus the 4K from the available Don. So that's 35K. So his best swings would be able to be what, 8, 9, 10, I think is the correct sequencing, or the correct math at least. Knowing our last life is non-counter, I don't know that the sequencing necessarily matters at this point. He is going to start off with a 10K swing here, and we're going to use the leader ability to rest the other ace, and we're just going to snap take that, because we want the 8 cost kid in hand to be able to activate our 0 cost event. And now he does Rygo the Arouge. Had we had blocked with Arouge, he just would have Rygo'd the Rosinante instead. So we know that the best swings that he can do at this point are going to be 8, 8, 9, which we know that we can counter out of all of the swings at this point and not have to use either blocker, because we have 12K counter in hand, and then that would force us swinging 8, 8, 9 would be 4K counter, 4K counter, 5K counter. So that would be what, 13K counter? So I guess we would have to use the block, but we could save the Hawkins block to be able to just counter out with the block on the last swing. So it does look like he's swinging a base 5K with his leader here, which we're obviously going to counter out of. This is basically just a concession at this point, because we still have the 2 blockers and he's only got 2 swings. He swings 9. We're going to counter out of that, I would imagine. And then he's going to swing a big 11K, which we know our last 3 cards are 2Ks. So we're just going to block with Hawkins and counter up to 13. And then that's just going to be game. Hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.